Cheryl Reeve should be fired tomorrow. She should be fired tomorrow from Team USA. The selection committee, whoever the hell they are, should all be fired tomorrow. And the funniest part is, all of you WNBA fans, all of you people being like, oh, these new fans are ruining the sport, they don't know anything, they're not respecting it. Every single thing. And that's the thing, is a lot of, and I'm not talking about the crazies, I'm not talking about the racists, I'm not talking about those people. I'm about the actual new fans who started taking the WNBA seriously, who started watching games, who started getting really into it, who were basketball fans in general. Some playing or coaching at decent levels. Where, like, there's something seriously wrong with the way this team was selected. It was like, this team does not look good. It's not selected on merit. I don't know what's going on. And everyone was like, no, we picked the perfect team, picked the right team. No, they did not pick the right team. As we know, they literally needed a miracle. They needed they won this game by 3 inches. They won it by 3 inches. That's how they won the game, by 3 inches. And we've then got, obviously, an awful coach. But if you guys agree with this, if you guys agree that Cheryl Reeve should not be the coach of this team, subscribe. That's the best way to do it. That's the best way to do the subscribers. We're trying to 26k by the end of the day. We're 43 off. But if you agree, there's at least 43 new guys here that agree that Cheryl Reeve should not be the coach of this team. But if you listen to this, in the words of Lisa Leslie, I'm in shock. The coaching's been questionable. Lads, Chelsea Gray played 13 minutes. In those 13 minutes, she turned the ball over 3 times, scored 0 points, and was -8. This was a game where everybody talking about Caitlin Clark, she couldn't run the one, point guard this, point guard that. I'm sorry, Chelsea Gray is one of the best point guards of the last 10 years. She can't run. And I'm sorry, if it's an insult to a player to point out she is clearly injured, and that's one of the things I don't get when it comes to some of these WNBA fans. Nobody's saying Chelsea Gray at her peak is a bad player. She's injured. She's limping. She is limping around the floor. She can't run. If an NBA player, if LeBron James showed up to the Olympics with a bad foot and was like hobbling around the floor, everyone would be calling for Steve Kerr's head. It's the same difference. Just because basically saying, not even giving Chelsea Gray a pass, it's not her fault, she's not playing herself. Giving Cheryl Reeve a pass for playing Chelsea Gray is not respecting the sport of basketball. Giving her a pass for this crap, giving her a pass for the Diana Taurasi crap. And you know what? I get it. 13th man, Diana Taurasi, it is what it is. But like, again, Jewel Lloyd doesn't play because you have 6 shooting guards. Kelsey Plum, a shooting guard, suddenly had to play point guard. She's not a point guard. Sabrina Ionescu doesn't play until a minute to go in the third quarter and then plays 9 straight. Jackie Young, last player off the bench, became their most effective defensive guard. Kat Copper was getting DNPs pretty much at one stage and comes in and is one of their most impactful guards. Yeah, none of them could hit a shot, but she's one of their most impactful guards because physicality, a physical, athletic guard. Physicality for Jackie Young, a physical, athletic guard. In the defense of Kelsey Plum, quite physical running the point guard. And ironically enough, the rookie throughout the tournament they missed, obviously, I think the rookie that would have made the biggest difference throughout the entirety of the tournament was Caitlin Clark. Purely because I think Caitlin Clark is just the best point guard by so much. Like, the gap between her and the second best point guard is bigger than the gap between, like, Aja and Fee Collier. And that's a big gap. But Angel Reese is a massive, and I mean this, like, one of the big flaws that people say of Angel Reese is actually one of her strengths. Like, when people talk about, oh, sometimes she just gets her own rebounds. There's times she's playing ping pong off the backboard. Yeah, because a lot of the time she plays ping pong off the backboard, the ball eventually goes in. They were missing shots. Aja Wilson, 6 of 14, and that was a good second half. Those shots Aja Wilson was missing. And that's the problem is that it was a real physical game, and you were leaving Aja Wilson there on an island. In fairness, Fee got some offensive boards, but you were almost leaving her on an island with Stewie. Like, Alyssa Thomas is someone who could have done that. But you bench Alyssa Thomas. You bench who has been your spark plug, who has been arguably your third best player in the Olympics, gets benched. In a game where you're missing shots, you benched your best offensive rebounder? No, actually, sorry. You left your best offensive rebounder at home. Every player on a team, when you are selecting a team, every player has to be there for a reason. You don't just pick a team based on, oh, this is the team we had in camp. This is like, oh, we're just picking We're just picking our teams that are friends with each other. These players are friends. Oh, Jewel Lloyd's been with Team USA a while. We're bringing her, even though she brings nothing. She's literally just a Rike, but worse. But that's where the issue is. Like, you don't bring a team like that. You don't. This team, realistically, if you wanted, maybe you don't bring Ariel Atkins, because in fairness, Jackie Young played that role. You bring Brittany Griner anyway. You don't start Fee. I'm sorry, she wasn't good in this Olympics. She wasn't bad. Like, look, I'm not saying Fee Collier did not deserve to play. But just because she is on your team, just because you coach her, does not mean you have to start her. You started a player based on, again, you started Chelsea Gray for absolutely no reason. It was very noticeable versus Japan. She couldn't take, I know she had 13 assists. She could not take the ball up versus Japan. And the one thing I will say with Chelsea Gray versus some other players, and this is the difference between a Chelsea Gray and I will say let's just say, obviously Caitlin Clark, is that Chelsea Gray is a great passer. Caitlin Clark is a playmaker. Chelsea Gray doesn't create anything. She just, if somebody gets open, and in fairness, when you're playing with Aja Wilson, it's cool. You don't need to be a playmaker. You can just throw the ball to Aja Wilson. But that's what the difference is that Chelsea Gray's not a playmaker, she's a passer. But either way, it doesn't matter. Even if she was just a passer, she'd be fine if she was healthy. She's just not. Playing 13 minutes a game, she can't move. She can't run. And for people saying, why do you keep mentioning that? Because a coach who is being paid millions of dollars is playing a point guard who is injured. And she's not only slightly injured, she's very injured. She's suddenly, if she's the point guard, if this is the point guard, again, if you have just started watching the sport of basketball, you are like, what the hell is she doing? She's Mark Jacksoning, Andre Millering, backing down the floor for 20 seconds. She's very lucky. She's very, very lucky that she wasn't playing with NBA rules, where after the Mark Jackson fiasco of him just backing people down for his career, they brought in the 5-second back to the basket rule. She's lucky about that. But this is I'm going to look at the Reddit comments about this. Absolutely not. No, she coaches like she wants to lose. And the worst part is that she's one of the best coaches in the WNBA. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. And she is an exceptionally good coach. You could see there was a play when they were up 1 that she ran. It was kind of like Stewie brought the ball up off the floor, and it ended up being like Cat Copper coming off like a curl into a high pick and roll and score. And it's like, when you've got the out of timeout plays to win, but the problem isn't her ability to coach. The problem is that it seems like more so the selection committee, the coaches want to be friends with these players. That's what it seems like. You're bringing players that don't deserve to be there. You're putting players that don't deserve to be on the court. You're putting players that do deserve to be on the court. You're sitting them on the bench. And it's personal relationships. Politics shows this team, not anything else. And I think not only she should be fired in the morning, the entire selection committee should be fired. The entire selection committee. Because they're the only country in the world that has their camp 4 months before the Olympics. And say, oh, that's it. We're picking based on that. You know what every other country does? They pick a squad of 16, 17 players. And then even after the Olympic break, they only had their one warm-up game. And that's when you have your camp. You bring 16, 17 players on the squad. You play 16, 17. You don't... this team, I actually think that this team was picked because of the All-Star game. I genuinely do. They picked the team so early because of the All-Star game. You don't... And I don't agree with necessarily picking... Not even necessarily... I don't agree at all with picking the team in June. What they should have done was, I don't know, maybe tried to bring the WNBA season a little bit earlier so that they have a little bit of a camp. But heck, you bring 16 players to that Germany friendly game. You maybe bring in a second Olympic friendly game because you know your first game's against Japan and that's barely a game. You bring in a second Olympic friendly game. You have 16 players. You have the 12 players you bring at the minute. And you can keep Taurasi in that 16 just to keep her happy. But you add in Aaliyah Boston, Ariel Atkins, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and let's just say Bree Jones as well. You bring those players, and then from those games, you pick your best 12. Like every other team does. They have a squad, and then only very late before the Olympics, they pick their team. Or you do what the men do, and you're ruthless, and say, you know what, Kawhi, we don't think you're going to be good enough. We want somebody to play. We want another Drew Holiday. We thought you were going to be that just lockdown player. No, we'll bring Derek White instead. He's not going to be our fifth man. But the common consensus here is no, it's what it should be. She made a lot of questionable decisions, showing her as while doing it, rightfully criticized, even with gold. Nope, I thought her rotations were odd and have no sense to them. She sat Brittany Graham when she dominated paint. And yeah, I agree. Let's rehire Reeve and give Diana Taurasi an honorary position. If the selection committee and coach stays the same in this Olympics, Chelsea Gray is on the 28 Olympic team. And I don't even mean again, if Chelsea Gray gets healthy again, she probably will deserve to be on that Olympic team. But this current version, and I think if again, what's her name deserves to be there. Fee will deserve to be there in 2028. But we're going to be seeing a Jewel Lloyd type pick. You're going to be seeing players that don't deserve it. And I think that if you are Team USA, your goal is to be ruthless. And this 2028 Olympics for Team USA Women's is the equivalent of the 2008 Olympics. I know you won. But your 2028 Olympics has to effectively be the redeem team. You won, but at what cost? You beat France, who have one WNBA starter in Gabby Williams, one WNBA bench player in... To be fair, though, you don't know how many of these could make the WNBA because of prioritization rules. As a league, because the WNBA is linked with Team USA, as a league, you effectively banned every one of these players from playing. You essentially banned this entire team from playing, and you almost lost them. This is on USA Basketball. This is on the WNBA Players Association. This is on WNBA owners. WNBA owners making sure they put a rule in their CBA so that none of these players can play. This is on the WNBA. This is on... And you know what? This is probably the best thing that could happen. Because again, look, if you're Team USA, you're probably happy out. Because you've won the gold. If you're a USA fan, you've won the gold. But if you're a basketball fan, especially when it comes to being a new women's basketball fan, there were so many things that were wrong with women's basketball. And again, there's politics in every sport. But this is more so than I've ever seen a case of the old guard refusing to adapt. And stuff like this is going to force the old guard to adapt. The play of a Caitlin Clark, the future play of a Paige Beckers, of a Juju Watkins, the play of an Angel Reese, the motor on these rookies. And not only, it's not just the skill level, because look, Angel Reese doesn't have an offensive bag, but her motor is greater than everybody. These players coming in from college, this rookie class, where everyone in the top 7 pick is a starter as a rookie. Everyone talking about, these rookies normally sit on their bench. The entire top 7 picks are all starters. Next year's draft might be even better. You're acting like Olivia Miles won't come right in as one of the best point guards in the W. I don't know how great Sonia Citron's going to be, but Paige Becker is going to be elite. I think Kiki Ariafin is going to be elite as well. You've got these players coming through, playing a higher level of ball in college than anyone played before. Gone are the days of Gino Auriemma getting every single best recruit and those UConn teams beating everybody in games that aren't even competitive. And then you can mold players into being whatever the hell you want and you can control the WNBA. No, NIL deals are a thing. No one's going to sit their ass on the end of the bench at UConn. If you are a 5-star recruit and there is another 5-star recruit, or there are maybe 2 more 5-star recruits in the college and you're going to be coming off the bench, you want that NIL money. You can do a Juju and go to SC. Heck, Kiki Ariafin's there. You can go to Stanford. You can go to these other places. It's no longer about teaming up to win a ring anymore. And these players are also playing at a higher level from high school up. Women's basketball is now, not that it's now taken as seriously as the men's, but there are probably, I would say, based on 20 years ago, I would say there are 10 times more young girls playing basketball, especially young girls that are sticking with basketball throughout past the age of about 14. Because so many of these players are looking up to your Asia Wilsons. They're looking up to your Angel Reeses, your Caitlin Clarks, your Cameron Brinks, Sabrina Ionescu's, who are doing so much of this stuff outside of basketball. Where it's okay, yeah, the role models that we have it's the celebrities that they're looking up to are also basketball players and they're celebrities as well. So it's you've got those role models And that's the thing when it comes to what's coming for women's basketball. This is just the start. This is only the start. I'm telling you, this is only the start. And do you want to know what it all starts with? It starts with not firing Cheryl Reeve from the Minnesota Lynx. She's an exceptional coach in the Minnesota Lynx. It is no longer putting the old guard in charge of things like USA basketball, in charge of who's getting picked for things. And look, Gino Auriemma is no better. Gino Auriemma didn't pick Neko Owubuike, the MVP, because, you know what, he wanted to bring his own college player. He wanted to bring a bunch of UConn players. It's a club. Women's basketball, especially at the pro level, at the WNBA level, has been a club. Team USA has been a club. If you're not part of the club, you're not going to make the team. If you have some sort of an issue with one of the coaches, doesn't matter how good you are, you're not going to make the team. Heck, Hannes Parker's been snubbed from Team USA before. And it's very obvious to see. It's very obvious to see what it is. It's very obvious to see there are certain owners in the WNBA that are trying to screw over their teams, whereas others are trying to progress the sport. It's very obvious that there are people, that most people involved with Team USA are stuck in their own ways and not trying to progress the sport. They're happy with the way it was. They're happy with their little sport, making their, and nobody really caring what they're doing and making their decent-ish living. But that's all going to stop. And it starts by firing her from Team USA. It starts by firing her from Team USA and basically saying, whoever comes in as the coach, the first thing they need to say is clean slate. We don't care what you've done before. All we care about is winning 2028 Olympics. And their goal should be to beat everyone by 40. Because I think USA could do it. In the women's, in 4 years' time, I think USA could win every game by 40. And that has to be their goal. Their goal has to be, I know players don't want to play in like America Cup and stuff. Your goal, actually, no, sorry, the World Cup's next year. Or is it 2020? It might be 2026. Either way, your goal is to win that World Cup and beat everyone by 40. That has to be the goal. And that is not happening with a coach who lets pettiness and politics decide her decisions.